Well, here we go again. Episode 27, Series 2, 7 Minute Max. I am very, very excited to have Stuart Coupe with me. He really doesn't need any introduction. I mean, you can see by the shelf behind him the fabulous books and different things that he's been involved with. I've definitely read Roadies a few times, and I'm obviously reading Michael's book at the moment. But Stuart, welcome to my little humble podcast, 7 Minute Max. Thank you very much for doing this with me.
Thanks, Mark. Good to be here.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Now, I know that your days are probably filled with stuff that's a lot more intelligent than this, but let's have a bit of fun with it.
We'll have fun. Come on.
All right. So this is how it's going to work. I'm going to ask you 7 questions, and you've got. I'm going to I physically put the timer on now.
Okay, gotcha.
If you can get it done in 7 minutes, you're better than anyone else because no one gets it done in 7 minutes. So you don't have to. It's just a guide. It's more. I like the name 7 Minute Max rhymed rather than the actual way that we do it. But I'll put the timer on and I'll ask you 7 questions.
Okay.
So here we go. And elaborate, please, because I know that you've been part of this amazing Australian and international music scene for a while. So I'm keen to get into your brain as well. All right, here we go. Tell me, Stuart, your favourite fast food experience.
Oh, God, my favourite fast food experience.
Anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world.
You didn't give me any warning, did you?
No.
I wasn't expecting a question about fast foods. And now I'm trying to think of a really, really, really good story about fast foods and whether I've met anyone famous or anyone, of note while I've been queuing up for, not that I eat a lot of fast foods, but I'm just trying to, look, I do have, this is tangential. This is the way my mind works, right? One of my favorite 45s, one of my favorite ever singles is called The Sound of American Fast Food Chains.
Okay, great.
It's a 45 and someone has gone into, I'm guessing, a Wendy's and a Taco Bell and a McDonald's and all these places, and they have recorded the sounds of people in these restaurants.
Oh, fantastic.
Then they pressed it on a 45,
yeah,
and it has the logos for all of these fast food restaurants on the cover, and you would only listen to it once, I think, if at all. That's my best fast food story. I'm just trying to think, what do I connect in my head with that involves music and fast foods? It's this single.
I like it.
So there you go.
I love it. Can you still get it? Can you get on eBay and get it?
I've got no idea. I think it's called The Sounds of American Fast Food Restaurants. So it has a handmade sleeve.
Yeah.
So there may not have been a lot of them because it didn't challenge the charts at any time or place that I'm aware of.
Oh, I love it.
And it really is just sound effects. Someone's just sat at a table in one of these places.
What, you can hear people eating burgers?
Yeah, and just talking.
Oh, just love
it. No, it's a complete and utter waste of time.
And, I love it. I love it.
It's a postmodernist statement of some magnitude, I think.
I love it. All right, done. Question 2. Now, this was always a bonus question, but I'm going to throw it in here straight away because I'm really interested in your opinion on this, and be absolutely 100% honest, because I would be completely honest with this too. If you're in LA, you're walking down a back alley somewhere and you look down to the left, nobody was around, 2 a.m, whatever, and there was $1 million cash sitting in a little bag, let's say it's a Louis Vuitton bag, 1 million cash, no one around, what would you do with it?
I would probably be figuring that it was fair game, given that if there was $1 million in cash in a back alley in Los Angeles, whether it's a Gladstone bag or a Louis Vuitton bag or something like that, I'm working on the principle that it doesn't have a great deal of legitimacy, and someone hasn't just gone to the bank and withdrawn $1 million in cash and then accidentally put it in an alley. So I'm kind of thinking I might appease my guilt a little bit by making a significant donation to Support Act or some music industry charity. But look, if I find wallets, which I do from time to time, I will look inside, and or credit cards, and I will see if there's some way of locating the person whose possessions it is. But $1 million, nothing good has happen to put $1 million in cash in a back alley in Los Angeles. See you later, buddy.
Okay, so we're 100,000 support act, 900,000 to Stuart's retirement fund.
I might sling 50 your way if I'm on my way to visit you over there.
Okay, that's nice. I like that. All right, because I can tell you now, I'm keeping the whole million. I'm going to get something back from what I put into all these record labels. So I need something back. That was the universe giving it back to me. All right, I love it. Because I've had people on here, I'd give it, I'd call the police. No, you wouldn't. You know you'd keep it. You know you'd put it in the boot. You'd look around, you'd drive off. 100% you'd keep it.
Yeah, you do a lot of looking around before you made off.
You might even stay on the scene for another 30 seconds just to make sure. Okay, all right, brilliant. All right, 3. Now, I know you've seen a lot of bands in your time, but if you could go back in time to any time, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, obviously 70s, if you could go back in any time and see any band, who would it be and where would it have been?
Look, I would have liked, I mean, I could pick a lot of people, as can anybody. Lately, I think I would like to go back to the Village Vanguard, or one of the New York-based jazz clubs in, and I'm going to call it a band because it would have been John Coltrane with his band.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have liked, or it could have been Albert Ayler with his band. It could have been any of those free jazz guys. And I'm trying to think if there were women. It was a guy's thing. Those free jazz guys in the early to mid 1960s, because that jazz that comes out of that era is the only music from the past that I listen to a lot that still completely blows my mind. And I go, that is so out there.
Wow.
In 2021. What in heaven's name would it be like listening to John Coltrane or Archie Shepp or Ornette Coleman or Albert Ayler or Don Cherry, or I could go on for more than my 7 minutes, actually playing at the height of the Black Power movement and the tension and what's going on in America in that era. Otherwise, I would have loved to have seen Hank Williams and the Drifting Cowboys, and I would have loved to have seen pretty much any era Elvis Presley. I did write a book that came out last year interviewing all the members of Elvis's TCB band. But to see Presley or Hank would have been magnificent. But no, just to experience the intimacy of being amongst, maybe 200 people tops, watching John Coltrane or one of those jazz guys in full flight would be the ultimate for me.
Did you ever see Zeppelin?
No, I never saw Zeppelin. I mean, I would, of course, love to see Zeppelin. I finally saw Plant a couple of years ago, and he was still beyond mind-blowing as a singer and so forth. But no, I never saw Zeppelin.
I love that. Great answer. All right, number 4. If you could be anyone in the world for a day, who would it be?
I'm pretty comfortable being me, but I wouldn't mind have a day being Bob Dylan.
Oh, yeah?
Just to get a fix on how you do that stuff.
What about being Bob Dylan after you sold your catalogue a few months ago and you got all that money?
Well, I'd just be a more wealthy Bob Dylan, but I don't know why. I actually don't know why he did that. I mean, except that he was probably shoring something up for the family, because it's not like Bob Dylan. I mean, he could live several lifetimes just on his yearly royalties from the times they are a-changing or blowing in the wind.
100%.
So it's not like, Bob sits there with his accountant at the end of every month and goes, shit, dude, how are we going to pay the Amex bill?
Yeah.
That's not a conversation that ever takes place. So look, I would take, maybe Bob Dylan circa 1966 and go, what is going through his brain that enables him to make, to write and record things like Highway 61, like a Rolling Stone, Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands. I'll take Bob in the mid-60s. Okay.
Love it. All right. I love it. Question 5. If you could live in a house together with a band, any band, for a year, or let's actually open that. If you could live in a house with anybody, anyone, for 1 year, and in that year you could write the book that you've always wanted to write, supposedly there is a book out there that still eludes you, who would it be?
Oh God, that's a very good question. I mean, my initial thing was, if I could live in a house with someone for a year, I'd pick the band and I'd go to the famous house in Big Pink in upstate Woodstock, where they recorded that record. But there's so many books by and about the band. Look, I go back to jazz, and I could. Well, I don't know if I could, but Albert Ayler is one of the most amazing saxophone players ever, and he lived a very short life. He was found dead in the Hudson River in New York City. And if I could share an apartment, because I doubt whether Albert Ayler had a house, for a year, and it would have been a very, very small apartment, and it would have been a dangerous part of New York in those days. Especially for me, I would probably hang out with Albert Ayler and get to write the definitive, the only biography of Albert Ayler. How's that?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Wow, I love that.
And then I'd make sure that I was somewhere else when whatever put him in the Hudson River at age 34 was going down.
You weren't around that day.
I got out.
Yeah, good. All right, question.
Town.
I think we're up to 6. I'm losing count.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so, and you don't have to be specific on this one, but I'm really interested in this from you in particular. Which one of your, and I've got the word idols, but let's want a better word. Which one of your idols have you met over the years that was awesome, and who have you met that was an idol that was a nightmare?
Who have I met?
And you don't have to name the nightmare, but you can tell me a story around it. If you know.
Trying to think the ones that have hung up on me on the phone. There's been a couple of shockers, but look, I mean, yes, obviously I've interviewed thousands of people. The first couple of times, I remember one time when it was both in one interview, and that was Tom Waits.
Oh yeah.
And I'd spent a long time loving Tom Waits. This was like 1980, all right? It was the second time Tom Waits came to Australia. And the first time I'd met him, he'd been fantastic. We'd gone walking through King's Cross together, and he was really, really chatty. The second time was at the Siebel Townhouse in Sydney in Elizabeth Bay, and it was the best. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, to quote Charles Dickens. He was kind of an appalling individual insofar as that he was anything I asked him, he gave a considered, intelligent answer to. And then I took along Suzanne Dowling, who was from Double J and was then hosting Rock Arena, I think, the TV show. And she was a rabid Tom Waits fan too. And he was so appallingly badly behaved towards her that it took me a real long time to go and listen to Tom Waits records after that. And I would like to think that he, over the decades, has had cause to reflect on his behaviour and is a little bit more encompassing of all people, much more encompassing than he was at that particular time. So that's a bit of a downer response, but it was also, the one that sprung to mind. Look, I've had very few bad interviews. I thought I was going to have a shocker with Lou Reed, and I was having a shocker. He was just being Lou and being offhand, dismissive, borderline rude, and I thought this is going nowhere. And then this was a long time ago, and then I happened to I was thinking I'm going to get nothing out of this, and I said to him, because I'd just seen the footage of him playing at Bob Dylan's 30th anniversary concert at Madison Square Garden. And the backing band for that that all-star concert was Booker T and the MGs, who I have times when I think are the greatest band that's ever existed.
No, Green Onions, they did.
Green Onions, yeah. Steve Cropper, Duck Dunn, Booker T. And I just said to Lou, hey, what was it like, playing at Madison Square Garden with Booker T and the MGs as your backing band? And it was like a light bulb went on. Man, I had Booker T on this side, Steve Cropper on this side, and it was like a light bulb had gone bang for Lou, and suddenly I was his best mate. And after we'd finished our mandatory half an hour, he just said, keep talking, which was very unusual for Lou Reed. The other one I just thought of is, I've never been a huge fan of Sting, right? And years ago, I like the Police to an extent, and I had to do this interview with Sting, and I remember I was the last interview of the day, so he'd probably done about 15 interviews, and I didn't really want to do it, and I'm sure he was about as enthusiastic about talking to me as I was of talking to him. And so I walked into the room, I fixed him dead on, looked him in the eye, because I thought this is going to go one of two ways. Let's find out. I said, Sting, mate, what's your favorite color? He spent 45 minutes telling me why it was black, and it was incredibly illuminating.
Wow.
Fantastic. So yeah, how's that go? Is it all right?
No, I like that. And I think that was question 7. I think we smashed it.
Did we? I wasn't sure if that was 6 or 7, but that's
right.
okay.
I'm going to ask you a bonus question anyway to cover it, even if we haven't done it, because
gotcha.
Your answers have been great. So I've been getting carried away with them. Okay, here's either question 7 or a bonus, so it doesn't matter. Okay, if you were walking, and again, I've got so many different questions. I'd love to do a second one of this in a couple of months, because I've got so many different ones for you. But here's your bonus. If you were walking in a forest and no one was around, and you came across a hole in the ground, and there was a huge ladder sticking up it was a gold ladder sticking up out of the ground. You could smell honey and these delicious flavors. You looked down and it looked really inviting, but you couldn't tell. You had to go down in. Would you go in?
Probably not, because I'm completely claustrophobic.
Okay. So it doesn't matter what's down there. It's not going to happen.
No, I got to call for backup.
Okay, buddy.
I've got to return to my days as a manager and go, you do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, so when I get my timer here, see, 16 minutes.
Yeah, well.
See, you even beat Paul Gold from Jefferson Starship.
Look, when it comes to talking, unfortunately, that's I've spent a bit of time doing it, and I'm not bad at it. So.
You're a good man, and I thank you for everything that you've done and all the hours I've spent reading your books and everything you've done for the industry. You're an amazing guy, and I appreciate you doing 7 Minute Max with me. Stuart Coupe, thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks, Mark. That was fun.
Thank you, buddy.